All right, good morning, traders. We are live on YouTube for day 2, continuation of yesterday's lessons. So, welcome in, welcome in. Today we have one of my real life friends, Elliot, here. Now, he's away from the computer at the moment, but he'll be back any second. And we'll be able to get started. Elliot's got a fresh perspective on the market, so he's going to be able to ask questions that might help spark and get some gears turning for some of you. I will be sharing my screen so we can see my indicator in action and the price as it plays out today. Elliot, let me know when you get back to the computer here. MGC. Nice hitchhiker on gold this morning, like first thing, like 10 minutes in. We missed it while we were setting up the stream, unfortunately. But we can look from the second pullback into the EMA. Looks like it would pull back right into pre-market lows as well. So if we get a pullback into that area, we've got a second chance at this trade. Elliot, are you good?
He's squeezing me.
Oh, we're live on YouTube, so if you want to, you can mute while you're doing that.
Yeah, Elliot. Yeah, Elliot, focus.
What'd you say?
No time. I said you're squeezing me.
Had the problem?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. We may be looking at a good example of a short hiker this morning.
Do I need to look at your live on YouTube to see your
Oh.
screen then?
Kiki, you joined in the Discord. Again, it didn't ding. What the heck? I thought you were just
Weird.
talking through Elliot's mic.
No.
She joined like a minute ago.
Well, good morning. Good morning. A little background information, so both of you are aware. We are live streaming on YouTube. We also yesterday I had 20 viewers, and so considering there was a first day, going live, it was pretty
Yeah.
decent amount. Just expect that
Yeah.
like all of this conversation is going to be recorded, and nothing I'm going over is legal advice on or financial advice. We are talking about and teaching the lessons to teach traders to learn. We're not telling them what trades to take, because that would be financial advice, right? So
Yep.
but
Right.
feel free, you guys make yourselves comfortable, ask your questions just like you normally would. I'm just essentially just recording it, and it'll be posted on my YouTube.
Oh,
Nothing too crazy. We just kind of keep it below
how can
more
I see your
PG-13.
screen then?
I will share it in
Do I need to
Discord
go to
for you.
YouTube to see your screen?
No, you guys
Okay.
can.
I didn't know if you could do both. So
I got you here.
So I just want to point something out real quick, but right now the NASDAQ just broke the ceiling on the short side of the previous low.
So what we're going to want to see
is
on the
pretty
NASDAQ
crazy.
is a really deep pullback into that EMA that just got violated on the left side screen. So we're going to let the 30-minute steer the ship here. And the 30-minute says, hey, that was too rash or irrational to participate in. We need to actually see a pullback from here and then a continuation. So Actually, both gold and Nasdaq are offering short opportunities, but we don't actually have an entry quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, we got
Yeah,
some
it's breaking
volatility.
that high though strongly.
Yeah, clearly we've got
I mean, look
volatility.
at the volume.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's definitely having a direction this morning.
Well, this is one of those opportunities where, a lot of newer traders might be tempted to like jump in on this. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's the move is going. I missed it." They're clicking buttons and their stop loss is so far away from a comfortable position that they're chasing this move. They've probably chased it all the way down. And that's honestly what you see on the chart is people like rushing to get in to those orders. So unless you were just insanely quick and took that opening pullback into the EMA into VWAP, right now we know we want to participate, right? Like this is like good price action, but we need to get a good low risk entry. So we have to wait for a pullback. We have to wait for it to like a deeper pullback into the EMA before we're allowed to like start putting any risk on, right?
Wow. I have to say, on the 30-minute, that is one long wick.
That's a big candle. That is a big 30-minute candle. So here's what to expect on something like this, guys. So when you're entering in trades, let's say you normally are in 2 contracts and that's what you're like comfortable with. Well, suddenly on days like this where volatility is just through the roof and the moves are enormous, your stop loss might be 2 or 3 times greater because volatility is 2 to 3 times greater. So the candles look pretty similar, but that 30-minute being such a large distance traveled kind of gives you that key that if you enter your normal size contracts, unfortunately, it could be way too much risk. So you need to be extra careful when things are moving really far, really fast, that you're taking the smaller size positions. So imagine doing the small size available, a single contract to participate. And if you enter in and you know your stop is still in like a really good spot to be protected, then maybe you can consider grabbing that second piece. You know what I mean? But it's a common trap for newer traders to actually get kind of stuck in a really defensive posture because they entered in a trade late, and also because the volatility their stop ended up being like really pricey, really far away, really expensive to hold this trade. So you notice that we're getting that pullback. It's started.
But right now, if you look at the volume, it's so much less. It's like it's not very strongly supported yet.
Are you saying, is your observation that volume's lower on the pullback? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Good. That's what we want to see for our trade. That is the exact process. We want to see volume decreasing in the pullback that we're waiting to enter on, and we wanted to see the volume pick back up when price is resuming.
Oh, it is picking up. Look at that. It's going into the orange.
Yeah, see, volatility is really high.
There's a lot of volatility.
Yeah, this is large participation. There is a lot of activity, a lot of traders in volume going through these candles right now. So we're just waiting. We're letting it come back to us. Ideally, we want to see more sideways consolidation instead of just a strong, straight up pullback into the EMA. We prefer the sideways, but you can tell already it's not giving us that. It's given us that sharp pull back into the EMA or VWAP.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
I kind of tend to think of that as the lower quality version of the pullback because that means buyers were really stepping in. Like they might have been really strong. They actually traveled a really far distance. Bars are stacking up. And that can mean that there's a lot of strength within the buying side. And we don't really, if we're going to go short, the weaker the buyers are, the better, you know? So sideways would be our preference.
I agree.
You'll get to see, especially if you're sitting here all the time and like really paying attention to what the market's doing on a daily basis, you'll catch some really absurd price action going on where you might see a 2 minute that's the size of like 50 candles. It's zooming off the screen and you're just like, what? Taking screenshots. It can get crazy sometimes when things pick up. But we really, honestly, this type of strategy thrives in that momentum. So it tends to be a really good area for us to start paying attention.
There's just so much volatility on this wick right now.
Not realize that you made that PDF. I thought you got that online. The hitchhiker one.
I did get that online. That is not
Oh,
something
am I
I
muted?
created.
Oh, you did get that online. Okay, because
Yes.
Elliot made it sound like you came up with that. Did you lie to me?
So
the graph here?
No, he sent me a PDF with a hitchhiker method and saying something about how, I don't know, maybe I just misunderstood because I thought you were saying that he made that.
So I can clarify if you
My
don't
bad.
mind.
Okay, yes. Please.
So first things first, I modified a version of a scalp that was taught to me by a prop firm, like a
Okay.
trading firm. So I modified it to be more universal and a little less picky.
Okay.
And then I built a custom indicator around the way that I trade that style of adjusted trade. Also, I'm going to stop us for just a second here. Gold is at the EMA that we're looking at for this pullback. And also, NASDAQ is starting to look like it could be spilling. So we've got two trade opportunities here. We need to quickly decide. So gold actually looks like the better of the two. Because we've got an A grade versus the NASDAQ's giving me a B grade. So it's a little tough. I like the volatility in the NASDAQ. But I think I'm going to watch gold here. It's just a better quality version. And so I'll plot what I'm looking at here, but I'm essentially, this is the risk to reward ratio. This is the trade right here. I'll fix it. We've got our 2-to-1 roughly right in here. Okay. Now, especially with being live on YouTube, I don't know if I'm allowed to say where and when I'm actually entering, but we can let the brackets just kind of give away the clues here. You guys having a good morning so far?
I am. I'm having a great morning, actually.
You're like, I am, but Kiki's not.
Well, she's
I'm
fine.
having a good morning.
I just can't speak for her.
Why can't you tell YouTube when you buy? Is it just like insider information?
I don't
That's
know,
not allowed.
actually. That's stuff that I want to answer in time. I know I can't give
Yeah.
financial advice without a license. And so when you give,
Mm.
so it's telling people specifically when to buy and sell, I think starts to get into that area. So just being mindful
Right.
of that just in case. So right now we are in that area
That
where
makes sense.
price could be resuming, and we're just sitting and waiting. We are sitting and waiting. Let's look at NASDAQ. Let's see what it's doing. We're kind of getting that sideways. It's starting to look more 50-50.
Yep, it's bouncing on that threshold from the previous low.
Yeah.
It's a good ceiling.
Mm.
So, I feel like how you've mentioned before, it's going to bounce around the ceiling for a minute, and then it's either going to find a direction to go, whether it's going to be a long or a short here.
Exactly. We're just starting to get...
What did gold do? I got a notification of gold. Looks like
gold just got downgraded a little bit as we are crossing back above the 22 EMA. I said back above, but I guess it did cross once, but we just wicked through the EMA. We popped on volume pretty heavily on this candle too. So I'm just really just watching and waiting for a good opportunity if it presents itself. Our stop would be adjusted. It would look like this. And a 2-to-1 based on our entry. So it's very likely that both gold and NASDAQ will make the same or similar move at the same times. It's pretty interesting, to be honest, that multiple charts will trade so similarly.
the NASDAQ is just looking really, really interesting on the 30-minute.
Mm-hmm. Typically, when we see price go below,
if you draw from like the lows from several days ago, and you look, even though they're really deep lows on the 30-minute, you still see a pretty consistent trend, still going up and along.
Yeah, actually, I think you see it really clearly on the daily chart. Like, go to a daily for this, and you can see it's so clear that we're still in an uptrend, and that this downwards move is as violent as it seems. It's still holding above our 5-day EMA. It's just a little too quick and irrational.
It's just, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's got to have a really strong bounce back, I think, with how strong the NASDAQ has been for so long.
Yeah.
It's bound to have a pretty strong comeback.
Clearly still buyer territory. So you can kind of expect like quicker reversals to happen. So just because we had that strong sell-off doesn't mean that we couldn't end up seeing like the rest of the day buying from here. We don't know, and that's the key is like, so we just have to see how it responds from here. What's it going to do next?
Exactly, I agree.
I still like gold better. The reason I like gold better is because if you look at the 30-minute on gold, we're trading essentially in the direction of the trend, of the 5-day trend, versus against it. So unless NASDAQ really either starts selling off with more intensity, then I would prefer to see it get back above VWAP for my interest. So I will be watching
I agree.
gold. Watching gold to see if we.
Now, when you say VWAP, because a lot of people might be confused by that. Are you talking about the yellow line or the purple line on your screen?
Okay, so on my screen, the purple line is always VWAP, volume weighted average price, and that's represented on the 2-minute as the purple line. The EMAs are the yellow lines. I always color my EMAs in yellow. So on any time frame, if you see a yellow line, it's going to be an EMA. And that's always going to represent an average of the candlesticks and the movements they're making, where the VWAP's actually taking the average between buying and selling and like the shares exchanged and actually plotting that on the screen as a the difference between selling pressure and buying pressure in the shares, actually the volume in the volume itself. So I'm going to draw this out. But what my eyes are really watching is, are we going to break this consolidation for a trade? So I'm drawing this little white squiggly line on the screen so we can visually see. That's where my brain goes. It says, hey, we've got that pullback. It's consolidating, but we don't have a break in either direction. Yeah, and it's...
So would you draw like two lines, like one above the previous high above the EMA, as like a good idea that it's going to be stronger in the long, and then draw one at the low here recently and see if you're going to break that consolidation right there?
Well, I would only be tracking the low of the consolidation because I want it to go that direction. I wouldn't take the back to VWAP trade because that's just a different strategy. But if it does break upwards from here, like if I get a volume pop and it breaks up and is closing above this EMA, then I'm going to go look at a different chart. This move is over for me.
Okay.
Actually, speaking of, both the NASDAQ and gold are looking pretty similar right now. We've got that, we got that really strong sell-off in the morning, and then we've had something like 15, 20 minutes of this pullback happening into the EMA. Now, gold's not looking so great. Unless this just ends up as a wick here. We got 26 seconds to tell. But even so, I'm going to just take it off the table for me, because this is just violating the EMA too much to be comfortable. I don't like this. We want a quick touch of the EMA and go, so that's not good.
What does gold look like on the 30-minute chart right now?
What does gold look like on a 30-minute?
Mm-hmm.
I've got it on my screen if you want to see.
Yes, I'm going to switch over to your stream. Okay.
See, the 30-minute looks better on gold. It really does, because we're in a move that's trading with the direction of my 5-day trend EMA. However, we just got a strong close above the 2-minute 22 EMA, which is signaling weakness in this downward move for sure. We wanted to see continuation, and it's not giving us that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I mean, if it quickly reclaims on high volume, that could be a good sign, but besides...
When you look at the volume on that screen, what does that tell you right now?
So most of the volume came in right at this reversal. So basically, like a lot of participation happening right here. So likely a lot of the sellers closing their quick position for the scalp, like this move, and then these new traders hopping in for the reversal. And so that kind of all happens at the same time, because when people are selling, the other side is really interested in taking that off their hands, right? And so a lot of that volume was exchanged right into this level.
And do you notice the very large decrease in participation at the point we're at right now? Which is that a strong indication that you think it's going to just bounce around the EMA?
Well, remember that we want to see lower participation in the pullback. So this is still technically a good sign. It's just giving me a deeper pullback than I would like to see. Sometimes, you remember when we talked about this yesterday with Tyler, where sometimes a deeper pullback into VWAP is just a bigger reset. It doesn't necessarily mean the game is over, but you can get a deeper pullback into VWAP just for sellers to get that extra confidence that, hey, we're actually going to stay short today. And so that's like the ultimate deciding line. If we stay below VWAP, we could get another leg down. I'm going to look at NASDAQ though. I'm switching over. So NASDAQ's just touching the underside of our 30-minute EMA right now. So to me, if I get this touch and go on the NASDAQ, that could give me an opportunity to go short. But both of them are honestly looking a little weak. So we're just sitting on our hands right now. I'm going to bounce back to gold so you guys can see it. I've got this on my second screen, so I'm still watching the same move over there. But we're getting a back to VWAP type move. It's starting to hold the 22 EMA. And we're just getting more volume back to VWAP. So unfortunately, gold is now off the table for me for my interest. So I'm going to go back and watch the NASDAQ. I also this is what I would like to see, okay? I'm going to draw it on the screen so we can all see it. I think this would be really helpful, okay? On the NASDAQ, we're getting this pullback into VWAP and the EMA, which I like that are closer together. We haven't really got it fanned out yet. What I want to see is this pullback, and I want the EMA to really start fanning out. Like, we've seen so many times the EMA and VWAP start just fanning out, pointing downwards. I want to get involved at the first pullback into the pre-market low. I would be interested right here. So essentially, we're kind of waiting for, you could participate earlier here on smaller size, but really the money maker for me, like the A version of this setup, would be it proving itself more by getting back below previous day low after touching the underside of this EMA, after touching VWAP, and the sellers just firmly regaining control and just booking it south. Do you see what I'm seeing there?
Mm-hmm.
So we want it to kind of prove itself a little more, especially since it's showing weakness.
Oh, it's raining.
If we end up just really pulling, and this potentially could be the low of the day too. So I'm going to delete the drawings. If we wanted to participate long, we need to be back above VWAP for sure, and showing a lot of strength. So I would almost want to see this consolidation into VWAP just above, however, a break of that, some pullbacks up here, and just multiple legs of the hitchhiker.
Okay.
Because technically, we're still in a bullish territory for the Nasdaq. This is still looking very strong. It's hard to short when you're above these levels. So we either need shorts to like really step up or buying to keep pushing back above VWAP.
Just touched that VWAP on the NASDAQ. So would this be where you're going to start to be wondering, okay, is it going to break VWAP or is it going to touch and then go back into the trend as a short?
Well, we don't want to. I mean, I was drawing out scenarios that I'd like to see, but ideally, we're going to sit on our hands, watch what happens. It tends to sit around VWAP for a fat minute, so it's not like it can't just pierce right through it and go. But those are like typically reserved for like the strongest reversals, you know. So we'll see. Volume's decreasing on this move up, kind of like we were seeing in gold. Like the most volume exchanged was at the low. And to me, the trade that we didn't take that presented itself, there were two. Okay, there was this really fast hitchhiker, a little too early in the morning for me to snag, like this, like that ideally was like the type trade I'm looking for, is that pullback into the EMA, pullback into VWAP, and them holding in a 2-to-1. You know, like that's a scalp I would take. And then the second trade was actually a different strategy that we're not quite, you know, learning yet, but it's good because it came up. So I'll show you. But do you see this low? And then there was this like change where buyers stepped in, and it came back down, created a second low. So we call it, it's like a double bottom essentially. There was a second attempt to push lower, and when that move starts to fail, you can take your entry back to VWAP. Now, unfortunately, the stop on this would have just really killed this trade, because if you notice, we are only at a 0.56 to the distance of VWAP. You can take it to a 1-to-1 is really like what you'd have to do to be able to even accept this trade. But this would have been the second trade. We had a 2-to-1 opportunity. It happened really fast on the open. Now we had a 1-to-1 opportunity as this essentially double bottom, you know, higher low formed. But with our strategy, we're really sitting out of both of those because we want that cleaner, market needs to prove that it's truly trending environment. And we're just not seeing that yet. This video, so it's being recorded, so people can totally watch after the fact, but it looks like we don't have any live viewers right now. You know what? I could share this on social media too.
There you go.
I feel like the afternoon stream's gonna do better. Most people are awake.
Yeah, that's true. I'll probably be around to do some more of that later too.
Yeah. When did you stream?
When did I?
Last time? Was it at like 5 or 6 or when? Yeah, when?
It was in the morning, but I was streaming for 2 hours
yesterday.
So I want to say it was something between
wow.
like maybe 10:30 to noon, like 10:30 to 12:30.
Okay.
You normally don't trade around that time, so why
Yeah.
did you do that?
Like, did you say
Did,
why?
yesterday, didn't you say he had something to do in the morning and then so he just did it later?
Yeah. I'm just curious why he. Do you just watch it, or do you actually make trades sometimes around midday?
So the way I see it is your best windows tend to be the opening auction, which is like the first 2 hours of market being open. Okay. Sometimes that can
Yeah.
be pushed a little later. Like especially with mornings like this, when the morning isn't super clean and clear, sometimes the afternoon can be a little bit better. So it just depends. So, but I typically 2 hours in the opening of the U.S. session. And then my other favorite time is 7 p.m. Central Time, which is Asia Open. And that tends to be a solid time, especially for newer traders too, because things move a little more in slow motion. Like today, these moves were happening so quick that you would have to be um, really fast and making quick decisions to take these trades. And that makes it a little tougher. Even I missed some good opportunity here. And I say good. It wasn't
Yeah.
fantastic. It was just good. We'll call it just good. More.
Can't be in all places at once.
Yeah.
This is like so exciting once you get into it. Like we're just sitting here watching it, but it's kind of like when you're hunting, waiting for a deer to arrive or something.
Yeah, I even
It's
call it
like,
like
is
my
it gonna is it
finger.
gonna move?
I'll say my fingers on the trigger when I'm like ready to like I'm like I
Right.
see the kill target. I've got it scoped
Mm-hmm.
in and I'm ready to pull that trigger.
Right. Right. Like she's getting a little too close to the yellow line. Could she go up? Could she go down? You never like.
Yeah, and then
What's it gonna do?
so if you think about it, like that's a good analogy too. As price got as the price got past the yellow line and started violating that, and now we're even testing VWAP. That's like the deer like walking into the trees, into the forest where you have no clear shot, and then
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, well,
It's there, but you can't shoot it.
you were like you almost had an opportunity,
Right.
but it didn't, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like you don't have to take a trade every day either, and that's what I want to teach newer people to learn too, is that you need to commit to yourself that if today just offers no good like A grade trades, you should be okay
Yeah.
with just sitting on your hands. Yes, you showed up. Yes, you were prepared. Yes, you may like had your finger near the trigger at times, but if you're disciplined, the more discipline you can teach yourself to sit out of some of these crappy versions of these trades, the more you can save the capital and mental capital to execute properly when the good opportunity's there, you know?
Right.
And shoot,
Yeah.
if today just traded sideways like a bunch today, well, let's look at that as a good sign. Maybe we get to leave early and we don't have to sit here as long. Maybe we get to talk more and discuss strategy, and instead of having to, you know, execute. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Okay.
Very crazy one. Let's see, what does gold do? Gold is pretty much bouncing around that yellow line.
you been working on your YouTube voice? What's up, guys? Thanks for training.
Please like and subscribe.
Support the channel, y'all.
sometimes I get so tired of the YouTube voice. Like I know they need to do it to keep them interested. I'm just like, oh my God. Like you don't need to have all that energy. Like I'm really okay. You know? I don't know. Like what's that one guy that he has a show on Netflix and stuff?
Oh, Mr. Beast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not on Netflix, it's on Prime Video.
He's got a show on Netflix now?
Or Prime Video.
Prime Video? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Beast Games.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense. I think I've seen a little bit of the, like, little snippets or something of it, but I do think it was cool, like how he kind of got started, because you get to see like early videos of him just starting out, and he's just kind of vlogging in his house, and he's just a younger teenager or however younger, maybe early 20s or late teens or something, and here he is like uh, very successful in the space. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
So do you think you would like this one? Like, are we thinking it's good? Because she's getting a little close to the yellow line, and you said you didn't like that.
So this is where I think the indicator is going to be so night and day helpful here. Because for me, I know instantly, since we're at VWAP, there's no trades to be had. So near the purple line is like, we're resetting. There's no direction yet. And the indicator's going to tell me that same message. So you see how it says, well, it's all gray. So like, even without like taking a deep look at it, it being all gray, it tells me, hey, there's nothing good about what's going on right now, other than maybe it's resetting for a potential, because technically speaking, everything changes if price does this. Okay?
Right.
If price does that, then all of a sudden we went from waiting to no trade to ding ding ding, awesome opportunity to take a trade.
Yeah.
So
she's pretty dead right now.
Yeah, pretty dead, honestly. And if I'm being frank, like if I bounced around a little bit here, they're all following suit.
They're very similar.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
This is a back to VWAP style trade.
Yeah.
There's people that will take these because there's enough room for it. Imagine somebody taking a scalp into here. So this is likely what they're doing is, oh, wrong way. Let me go long. They're going to put a stop below the swing, and then they're going to target VWAP, and they're like, oh, there's enough distance for me to call this a good trade. And so people are scalping this right now. They're like, they want it to come back to VWAP. And so, and people did, honestly, people already achieved that.
But there was a lot of participation for it.
It was, and it was fast. If you noticed, that was a single 2-minute candle.
Oh, yeah.
So that was just too quick of a trade for most. And then all of this second run at it is like the slower traders that just didn't have a chance to, like, they're seeing it after, and they're like, well, maybe we can get a retest of that.
Yeah.
And they got like a slightly worse entry, and they're kind of chasing it. And honestly, you'll see that all over the place and it's kind of what drives the markets. There's the people that got in early, and then they set themselves up for success. And then there's those people that are mad rushing to get and fill in those orders to join and participate really quickly,
Right.
And so ideally, you want to be that person that got in much earlier than the masses.
Yeah. I have a question about the candles. Is that like the price they bought it at? Like the candles at that high point, did they buy it at that high point, or does that just mean a lot of people bought it?
Ooh, okay.
At that where the
Are you specifically referring to this like wiki candle right here?
Yeah, like how the candle is super long. Does that mean they bought it up there where that candle where the wick reaches, or does that mean they bought it where like the wax of the candle is?
So this will be a two-part answer, okay? So
Okay.
first of all, I think it helps when you visualize price action as a live auction, okay? A
Yeah.
live auction. So imagine in this 2-minute candle, the highest point reached was this, the lowest point reached was this, right?
Okay. So they did buy it
So
at that high point.
um so buyers were in there obviously, but sellers
Yeah.
really, a lot of sellers drove the price down. So
Okay.
there was actually quite a bit of selling in that candle. And that's why it even though it reached the high of this little line, it
Mhm.
actually closed. The candle finished on the lower end of it, so sellers actually came in pretty quick and heavy.
Okay. So the wax of the candles where they bought it at.
The the wicks of the candles, it's more like where price was like exploring. Price
Okay.
explored a range of this pink line to this pink line. You see what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Okay.
so because of it being like mostly wick, we know that there was a
Yeah.
tug of war going on between buyers and sellers, and the sellers yoinked the rope really strong at the end
Yeah.
there and
Oh
like
yeah.
pulled it really firm. So sellers really tried to gain control, but what happened like the next couple candles? The buyers really like grabbed that rope back and said, "No, and we're not doing that," and they're starting to really get some
Yeah.
traction going the other way. So
Yeah.
think of the candles as distance traveled and ranges. That there was an auction going on and between buyers and sellers in this little box,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. It's like a war.
Yep.
They're fighting. Yeah. Man, this is intense. There's a lot going on here.
Nothing special this morning. Which honestly, there's really great trending days. They don't happen all the time. And that's why we need to save our biggest sizing and capital for when it's time to seriously put our foot on the gas. We want the
Yeah.
capital available to do so, you know? So ideally,
Mhm.
what we want to see is like, we don't want the crisscrossing of in spaghetti going on here with these lines. We preferably, like in my preference, what I would have loved to see is right off the bat, this was just staying bullish, and then VWAP was staying bullish the entire day as we broke above these
Mhm.
key levels. The key levels
Yeah.
being this is a pre-market high, and then this is previous day high, and
Yeah.
but instead we got that strong breakdown and then a quick reclaim of it. So it's really just showing like a giant tug of war. Nobody's truly
Mhm.
winning right now.
Not staying in one direction. It's kind
Yeah,
of back and forth.
just a really quick, rapid reversal. But you'll notice that, like, oftentimes you're getting you'll get
It's kind of like you only
opportunities.
want to take a car going in one direction. You know, if it's going in multiple directions, you don't want to get on that car. You don't know where
Yeah,
it's going.
yeah, we want them on the autobahn where they're not
Yeah,
only they know which way they're going, but
they know
they're
where they're
going there
going. Yeah,
fast. They're going fast in that direction
right.
too. There's no
Yeah, you don't want a
hesitation.
slow car.
Yeah, you do not want to be the car going the wrong way on that highway, right?
Yeah,
And so,
yeah,
unfortunately, not every day is going to give you that clarity. And so,
yeah.
but again, that's okay. I think what catches people up is people get that feeling where they're here, they're showing up, they need to be clicking buttons, but
Yeah,
unfortunately that gets you into more trouble.
they're like, yeah, they're like, I've been here waiting for the right opportunity. Like, I want to try to do something, and then like it ends up not being. They know it's not the right move, but they just want to do something, and then it ends
Yeah,
up biting them in the booty. So,
exactly.
Is this gold we're looking at?
We're watching the
Oh wait, oh it's
NASDAQ.
Nasdaq.
Yeah, NASDAQ. It's hard to say like which one's the better chart here today, but I'm looking
Mhm.
at this as like gold's a little too sideways for me.
Oh yeah,
Gold's got to show a little too much for me to be
Nasdaq's
interested
at
in.
least going up. Looks kind of good.
The crude oil could give us a better like afternoon style trade if once price is holding above VWAP, that would be in the direction of the trend. And so if we get
Mhm.
this above like so crude oil's kind of setting up secretly in the background for maybe a later play within the hour. Um and kind of secretly Nasdaq as well. There's a chance Nasdaq could really just pull itself through here. It's really just a wait and see type of deal.
What about silver?
So silver's going to look very similar to gold. So I could look at gold and kind of tell that they're probably nearly identical. Just did you look
Silver
at
looks
silver?
different.
You think it looks different?
Mm-hmm.
I do think that because gold's price is like what $100 an ounce or something. So it's I think there's more room for it to move. You know what I mean? Where gold, I feel like gold's gonna hold its value more because it's priced pretty premium, and it's gonna I would say it's gonna like make smaller percentage moves, right? Like in a day gold might move like 1 or 2% or something, where silver could potentially move like 5 or 6% because the dollar value is much lower, and so maybe there's a chance that it could be bigger moves to relative to its size. I'm gonna check our chat.
Okay.
We got any? No, pretty dull on the live stream today.
Because it's morning, everybody's at work.
Yeah. Ooh, Nasdaq's really getting the tug of war's really, really getting strong right now. I don't know if you guys watched that little price action that just happened, but sellers were pushing, and they actually got it below VWAP and that EMA for a second, but then just as you think it's just gonna spill over, the buyer stepped right back in and just yoinked it right back above, and this is why candle closing like this candle's still in progress, but the candle actually closing in the next 15, 16 seconds, when the candle closes, nobody can deny its shape and where it ended, right? But when it's being formed, it can look manipulative. It's looking like it's about to do something, but at the last second, it can be something completely else. So you always want to
Mhm.
give extra weight to the end of the candle when it's actually like what's it look like after it finished and completed the candle officially, because sometimes during the candle's moves can kind of like trick your eye, and your fear of missing out kind of FOMO can kick in, and you're like, maybe I want to jump in on something, um, and unfortunately that also trips up a lot of newer traders. You want to wait out any kind of you want extra confirmation, you know. You before you like just jump in into anything, you really want to make sure that it is truly what you think it is, you
It
know.
is what it is.
It is what it is.
Right.
It just is what it is. Oh man, that was delicious.
Coffee?
What you got?
No, I had a bowl of cereal.
You had some cereal?
Mm-hmm. Had some Cheerios, the multigrain ones.
Oh.
Wow.
I know, he's
Well,
impressed.
good job.
He's gonna go eat some walnuts or something now.
So excited.
Okay. So I did step away to make coffee for a second, okay? But no, I don't actually, guys. I don't eat in the mornings. I try not to eat until 2 to 5 p.m. That's my time range. I extend the fast from overnight. I also don't eat
Yeah,
late at
I do
night.
the same thing usually, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to help Elliot work, so we try to eat in the morning a little bit. But I usually don't like to eat before 2 as well. Just some coffee, some
Yeah.
water. Yeah, it's a way to do it.
Yep. So first thing I wake up, I drink a tall glass of water. I typically do mineral salt. It's Celtic mineral salt. It replenishes something like 95 essential minerals for your body. So I do that. And sometimes I'll add lemon. I buy a bag of lemons and I'll cut one and put it in there. I was quick today. I didn't do the lemon or the mineral salt. I just had my water.
Mm.
But
Uh-oh, you're not 100%.
yeah, I feel it.
Dang.
Well,
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. We don't need to be 100% on our A game 24/7.
Yeah.
That's a tall order.
Right.
So the Nasdaq's really I know we're at VWAP. We're too close. We're too close to VWAP for an actual trade, but it's really
But it's kind of staying above though, at least.
I was gonna say, so we're seeing these
Yeah.
green candles. It's holding. Look at the way it's holding the EMA. I know I got a bunch of lines on the chart, so it can make it a little unclear. But look at the support at every time it's pulled back into our EMA. We've got like hitchhiker like resumptions happening, right? We got that pullback into the EMA below VWAP, like right at below. I'll draw it. But you can see this one, right? This pullback, and then boom, resumption. We had this sharp and intense pullback, and we're getting that tug of war right back up. So if we start breaking the highs of these here, it could really accelerate. We could get a pop into these levels, these key levels, because they tend to be like magnets. So if we're gonna stay above VWAP, there's a likelihood.
What is that blue line?
So look at the
What does
blue
that
line
represent?
on the 30-minute chart. Do you see on the left side?
Yeah.
It's going to show us where it's coming from. That's the highest price of yesterday.
Okay.
So I would call a major level. Like that's a big deal for so many people. Because if that was the highest price that we reached yesterday and we start trading above that price, that would imply that there's very strong demand on a higher time frame level, right? If we're even above what yesterday achieved, we're that's really bullish. And so this strategy gives you the best grade. My indicator is going to give you a better grade for the strategy when it's above those key levels, at least one of them.
Yes, I agree.
It's almost setting up for an entry here. I think a lot of people would take this right now, where they're gonna do something like this.
It's too early.
This is just so I'm gonna draw this on here, but this is essentially the beginning of something that could turn out to be good. The only problem is we're right up into this ceiling, so you kind of have you don't have much room to run here. So
because we both know from trending, it's gonna want to bounce around these ceilings for a minute. You don't know if there's a clear direction of where it's gonna go from there.
You never know. It could just go through them, but like I said, it's like 68% of the time. The data doesn't lie. 68% of the time, when it reaches those key levels, it's gonna reverse, and it doesn't mean full on turn around, but it's at least gonna linger for 15, 20 minutes on the average. You know what I mean? So. Okay, I'm
And
gonna
we
get.
just passed that one line that you always talk about, that like hour and a half line.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Now, normally I want to get most of my trades in like size, like my core position into that earlier morning, but the earlier morning was sloppy and in the wrong direction technically, especially on the Nasdaq. That's counter to the trend. So I feel like there could be an explosive like opportunity if buyers really step up from here, that it could have trapped a lot of short traders in the morning that might just be painfully holding on through this.
Yeah.
I would hope they're not at this point because their stop loss is probably too high.
Yeah. Well, there's larger traders. Imagine like you're trading on a larger time frame, like say an hourly chart or something. Their stops might be like way above the day, like the highest points on the 30 minute. So as price like really starts to move and take out more and more levels, you get bigger traders that are getting unwinded out of their positions. We're zooming in with a microscope here and taking these little baby scalps, but at the same time, larger traders and participants are taking longer term trades where they might be trying to hold this for a whole, they call it a leg, right? Where it could be like hours of movement, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, let me go get my coffee. I'm thirsty, so I'll be back in a second.
Yeah. Get that coffee.
Yeah, you get that coffee.
Gross. Hey, don't be weird.
What? You know, I'm not being weird. You're being weird.
You're being weird.
You're a nerd.
I didn't say you were a nerd.
Well, I said you're a nerd.
Okay.
4 eyes. You wear glasses and I don't.
That's messed up.
I know. Shh, coming back. Stop fighting.
What?
I said stop
Oh.
fighting.
I mean, it's recorded. If he wants to, he can hear our fight.
Oh, I didn't know you could hear it.
I mean, if he rewatches it. I don't know.
But he only recorded himself. You can't hear us.
Really?
No, he can hear us.
Oh.
Actually, we've got speaking of, we've got live viewers now. So you have an
That's
audience
funny.
that you're
No way.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, we were just fighting.
Yeah, we bicker at each other the second you leave the room.
Hey, does energy drink go safely with milk?
No.
That
I want
sounds
to feel like crap today.
Yeah. That's oh. Oh, okay.
That sounds terrible.
My computer screen's turned. Yeah. Elliot, he doesn't listen to me. I say that he shouldn't drink or he shouldn't combine foods that don't digest well together, but then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to have
A bowl of
milk
cereal and an
and
energy
a bowl
drink.
of cereal and an energy drink and then some coffee and then wash that down probably with something else later." And then he's going to be like, "I can't poo." And then I'm going to be like, "Well, it's
My
not
stomach
like I'm
hurts.
just like
Yeah,
whatever."
yeah.
You know.
It's like the nail in the forehead where you're like, you know exactly why he doesn't feel good, and you're like, dude,
Right.
you did it to yourself.
I know. He literally
And
does.
not.
And then he wants to cry about not feeling good, and I'm like, I'm not. You know, you find the thing with the horse. You can show him water, but you can't make him drink. That's exactly how I feel with him sometimes.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know.
Yeah. He said that you and I, Ron, that we have similar like diet preferences. He was saying that like we both like to eat a lot of fat and stuff.
Huh? That we like to eat a lot, like healthy
Oh,
fats,
Like-
that's a different
Yeah,
person.
healthy fat.
Healthy fats like avocados and
You
walnuts.
gaslighting me again?
That's the steak and butter woman.
No. You told me Ron. You were telling me like how he eats and stuff, and you
Yeah, like
said
he
that he
doesn't.
sounds like me.
Yeah, he doesn't eat a bunch of bad stuff and he avoids certain things like you do.
Yeah, and then we both wait until like 2 to eat, and we only like drink coffee until then. So like, pretty similar, I think.
The high fat diet is the steak and butter woman I saw in.
I
She eats a bunch of butter and a bunch of lard.
Love butter. Yeah, don't you? Wait, you just eat a lot of avocado, Ron?
I eat about 2 avocados per day. Yes.
Nice. Wait, is this okay? I kind of got distracted. Is this the same one? No, this is a different one we're looking at right now. What does MCL stand for?
Micro crude oil. So I flipped to
Okay.
crude oil because it's actually setting up for something decent here. If we stay above VWAP and we kind of want that, we want to see the cross of the 22 EMA and the VWAP and as it holds. But it's looking much better than the Nasdaq right now. So Nasdaq's in no man's land.
So
Close.
did you already invest in this morning, or are you looking to invest in it?
Are you saying have
Are
I
you
taken
looking?
any trades today?
Have you bought it today? Yeah. Or
No.
because technically you can't tell them when you did it, but can't you say if like you're already in it?
No, I came close to entering short in gold as this pullback happened, but it was too sloppy and these giant wicks told me no.
Mm.
So I almost took that trade. So it was close. It was close. It was with the direction of the trend. Actually, let me go replay. Let's see what the indicator said. The indicator was telling me I had an A grade with the trend, key level confirmed. It was close enough to VWAP. This was setting up to be a potentially good trade on gold.
But you decided not to.
And then as I'm waiting for my entry, it kept going up and up and up instead of giving me a proper pullback. So didn't get in on that one. And then on crude oil, this one's like, it's got my interest because if you look at what I'm seeing on the 30-minute, do you see this clear counter trend that's going in?
Yeah.
So you can see that a little closer on the 2-minute. Let me draw it as just a little more accurate here. It's something like this, just to give you an idea of the slope of the downtrend that we're tracking. And so if we do something like this, like we like to see, then we can start participating in these pullbacks.
Yeah. She looks like she's trying to go up now, for sure. But she's still crossing that yellow line a little bit.
Well, we thought that about the Nasdaq too.
Yeah.
Nasdaq's back.
Yeah,
to
they're pretty
fighting
similar.
Nasdaq almost gave a run.
That one's turning around.
Yeah,
I was mentally invested in that. I was like, it's like, what's she gonna do? And now she's gone down.
You know the quickest way just to be like, is it even worth paying attention to? Look at this 30-minute. It looks awful. Look at these candles. Like they're literally
floppy,
giant stacked up next to each other. This is terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah. We want to see it up here. So ideally, you know what the best thing we should do? We should take this and we can set an alert. We go template alert and we say create condition. So now, I'm going to bring this to the front so it's in front of my blue line. So now I've got this line on the screen and it's going to ding at me if we're back above previous day highs. And that way I don't even need to watch it. I can now go play some video games. I can go hang out, watch TV. I can finish making my coffee, whatever. And I don't need to think about is a trade setting up, yes or no. Because if we want to align ourselves with the trend, we know it needs to be above that level anyway.
So is it kind of like we were talking about how it's kind of like a hunt? It's like you're setting a trap now. So you don't have to sit here and wait. You're setting a trap for it to hit that line. So you don't have to watch it the whole time. It's like when it hits that, then you can bounce. Is that kind of a good analogy, or is that like not?
Exactly. And to point out, so in the future, guys, you're going to have more than one strategy you can trade, okay? Right now, we're being super extra patient and waiting for only one tool that we have to be able to be used. But I'm going to show you in the future, and your next strategy, the second one you're going to learn is what I call the backside. S&B gets all the credit for that. The backside trade. And this is one of them. I don't want to go into all the details, but imagine it's a back to VWAP trade, okay? Back to VWAP trade. We've got multiple of those going on across the board, okay? This is the trade here. It's actually still in play. And then and we can do that the same. So on crude oil, gold, and even the NASDAQ gave an actual back to VWAP trade here. This one would have been good with a stop below this. And you got a little, basically a 2-to-1 right here. There was couple trades that second strategy that we're going to dive into at some point will teach you to take. So you won't always necessarily have to sit on your hands this much, but we want to take it one step at a time. It can be overwhelming and confusing for especially a new trader if I'm teaching you multiple different tools instead of letting you master one tool. So you might think, well, like days like this are kind of dull and there's not much going on. There are trades happening right now that we could have participated in that would have paid out very well. It's just the fact that we're looking for one specific thing, and if that one specific thing isn't coming up, we're not taking it.
Yeah.
Right? And that builds discipline, that builds expertise, and when you master one strategy, you can let it pay for your other businesses. Think of them as separate businesses, okay? So we'll say this continuation strategy that I'm teaching you now is business number 1. And business number 1 needs to be highly profitable before we start or even consider business number 2. Doesn't that make sense?
No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
What? Are you just you're just trying to give me a hard time?
Yeah.
No, he said.
Okay.
I completely agree with you.
Okay.
Oh my God. He said, "What?" I'm like, don't mess with him.
I mean,
I know you are.
Ron needs to
It
be
makes
thinking
sense.
on his toes. Yeah, a lot of these today aren't looking too great.
That's what he was just talking about, Elliot. Were you even listening?
No. I was actually doing a replay. It's not typical. I was doing a replay. I was wanting to see what the key signs for what would have been a pretty good trade on the 30-minute, on the 2-minute, and how that would have played out. Let's see. Micro crude oil on Tuesday the 2nd.
Crude oil, Tuesday the 2nd. I'm going to go look at it.
Yeah, Ron, you should verify this.
Yeah, let's go look at this day.
This would be the one that I feel like I would have maybe taken in the morning.
Oh. Yeah, this is a good looking setup, let me tell you.
Because you could have made, I feel like, at least one really good 2-to-1, but it would have been later in the day is the only issue. It wouldn't have been in the morning.
Yeah, you actually, so I see, I'm going to circle all the points that I would consider entries here. This one here. And this one's
that's where I drew it.
Yeah, and this one's a little different style entry because it's not that typical pullback style entry, but it's still a great one. And then you've got these here, these deep pullbacks. You could also take the horizontal level breaks, right? So if you missed, and I look at this like between where I drew the circles. Let me zoom in a little bit, right? Your entry can be as late as the white line, the horizontal, but preferably closer to the circle area because you lower your risk. Why risk this distance from here all the way down to here as your stop loss, right? When you can cut that stop loss down so much smaller entering in these trades with a stop below the swing. Okay? and really, and then you get your 2 to 1, which snagged right here. You see, and so it's, and then especially when trailing that second trade, it can pay you really well, right? Now we would end up on this one if we started so far up in this move and we started trailing. It's not like the value is not really there. But imagine you entered early on this break of this downtrend as things started to heat up. You can hold your position and maybe you can start closing some out here. You can be like, well, I took some off here. I'll draw X's. I'll be like, I took some off here. I took some off as we got below here. And then, I held the last piece until we really started to get momentum up into here. And so as you develop as a trader, that's the end goal. It's not to be taking 2 to 1s forever and catching just little snippets of the move. You want to be catching the whole move itself. And
you're going to take the whole move, but by, cutting your 2 to 1, so then you're not having any risk.
Yeah. And you might look at it as, well, like, why did that all get started? Well, we look at the 30-minute, and you had this clear downtrend into support, and then as it got more horizontal, because remember, I want you to think a little horizontally, look at that, right? And guess what? Where did we enter? We were entering at the break of this pullback, this little one right here. So you've got, like, these stages of the move where there was this strong downtrend counter to the broader trend. Maybe actually no, that was kind of with the trend, but into support, and then as that held, it just started to tell this story where it held up, it retested, and then strong buying came in and resumed.
Okay, that's a really good example.
I like it. No, that's a good looking day. But that was a good example of like the day kind of showing up later in the afternoon. This started heating up around 10 a.m.,
Yeah, I see that. I'm going to have to quit my day job now. Just kidding. Can't do that.
Great idea. Just go all in.
Wearing your pants.
I'm kidding.
I know you are.
No, realistically, you want to see something like, I think to give a trader really the opportunity for success, you need a good runway. And that's why I was stressing to you, like, you need years of practice on this, because as much as it feels like you might be like feeling confident already, there's just stuff that that's not really gonna truly come up until your money is on the line. When you're panicking because you're in a losing trade and you're closing it early right before it really turns and starts to work, or you made a huge mistake and you lost a bunch of your real money today. How do you handle that? Are you going to come in tomorrow and let that affect you? And that's something that I can't necessarily teach you. I can coach you into better mental habits, but eventually you just have to live through it, So.
Yeah. The help of being a business owner, though. Kind of deal with that a lot.
Yeah, some of the stresses and responsibilities and whatnot.
Yeah, if you lose money, like, you still got to show up. You still got to get the job done, and get it done with good satisfaction. You can't let it ruin your day. And if you do, then, a lot of times that'll just make it take longer and you lose more money.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You got to learn to carry that better. I'm not very happy with the way this is trending this morning.
Yeah, no, nothing too
It's just not an exciting day.
No, gold doesn't look good.
You just have to get over it. Like, you have good days and you have good bad days, okay?
NASDAQ looks really not good. It almost looks like it's going to be, from the 30-minute, like we might be seeing a pretty good short all day. Looks like the only one that looks like it's actually maybe on the upward upward trend right now is crude oil. I can see that a little bit from the 30 minute, but it's really honestly from the 30 minute, it looks too early to really make that, decision. Like with crude oil, how would you identify from how today's going based off of last night's and yesterday's performances? How would you identify when is the most optimal time to really be looking for a trade? Not when to take it, but when to actually be looking for it.
So until this downtrend breaks on the 30 minute, I'm not interested. So do you see how, like, ever since this higher point on the chart, it's just been short? And yes, right now, like, if you'd argue that, well, like, there's been buying in here, but we want buying to be on high demand, and right now it's just really started to prove itself by bringing price back to VWAP and then even showing some strength around VWAP. However, until this downtrend is broken, we can't take a trade. So we really want to see a break above this and start making higher highs and higher lows. Ideally.
And that's really something that you might not see within that 2 hour window in the morning. That's something you might see maybe more closer to noon.
Yeah.
You might see that move start happening around noon.
You never know. It could just do this where it kind of gets a retest of the low of the day and then ends up breaking it later on. So who knows? Like, if you look at the time, maybe 12:30, maybe right now. You don't know. But when you get that break, that's when you could start paying attention, and our indicator is going to start, like, lighting up, saying, "Hey, trade may be on."
So, out of curiosity, let's just say it's after your typical window in the morning, and you have things you want to do, and you set reminders. And let's just say you step away from your computer for a while.
Uh-huh.
How would you trade if you got a notification like, oh, hey, you have a good trade setting up while you're gone? What would you do?
A good trade setting up while you're gone. I like to watch them. Like, I might be a good example. The wife and I were out shopping one night, and I knew that there was unusual activity later in the night, like 7 p.m. Asia Open, and I was like, oh, that's looking really good. And so I'll open up my phone and just kind of keep tabs every 20 minutes of, like, what happened? How did this play out? And that's, like, mentally teaching you to, discipline, so you're not taking every opportunity always, but you're also, like, learning price action. You're watching how price responds at certain areas, and you're training your brain to better read what's, going on right now. And so that's just one example, but imagine you're home. Well, if I traded in the morning and I have, like, if you're available in the mornings like this, like, Elliot, you just being here in the mornings is such a better time frame than to be trading at night. Not that at night doesn't offer those good opportunities, but if you're participating now, I would rather you save capital, like when we're trading live, you're saving capital for these morning sessions. And only in those rare extreme extraordinary cases, maybe we take a afternoon trade. And that could also be reserved for, like, maybe you had to skip this morning because you had to go to your day job, or you got busy with something and you just didn't trade the morning session, right? Then at least you can use your skills as a trader to sit down in that afternoon session at, like, 7 p.m. and occasionally walk into some good trades. And then so we're sitting here and we're practicing and we're doing this session in the morning, but later on, maybe you want to consume more knowledge and practice. So 7 p.m., you're sitting there and you're watching a movie on the TV, you pull out your laptop or something, like I might, and you sit there and you're watching, not trading, but you're watching with your eyes what's going on. If it's a good opportunity, maybe you're paying attention to it so you could learn from it. And you don't necessarily have to take it, but it could be good to extra chart experience, Time in the charts, I feel like, how they say, like, it takes 1,000 hours to master anything? I think 1,000 hours in of staring at the screen can get you really freaking far. I think it can really teach you how to better read what these candles are telling you.
Okay. Now, when you trade a cheaper stock, for instance, with like crude oil,
Uh-huh.
when it's at $95 a barrel, because it's $95 versus the Nasdaq is 30, right? So obviously one, what do they call that? A partition? Is that what you call that?
One contract.
So one contract, okay. Would you trade instead of one, more like 30 to get the same kind of like risk to reward as you would on the Nasdaq with like one or two contracts?
That's a great question. So we trade based on the amount of our stop, right? So you can put on size depending on what that looks like, right? So let's say you click one contract and it's $20, and your typical risk on the Nasdaq is 70, right? Well, then you might be able to go 3 contracts like right off the bat.
Okay. That's what I was curious of.
Yeah, you start with your stop loss. And you build into the position one contract at a time. Your goal is to get your entries for those multiple contracts as close as possible. So you shouldn't go one contract now, 20 minutes later you add your second contract. You need to quickly decide based on, I entered one contract, I moved my stop loss below the swing, and then I was like, oh, there's so much room for me to go bigger on this. And the opportunity is an A grade, right? So the grading matters. I have permission to go a second or third contract if in that hypothetical scenario.
Okay. And have you done any kind of discussion as to how you grade your setups?
Yeah. So I typically suggest an ABCD method, okay? So A grade, B grade, C grade, D grade. And you want your largest size, obviously, on the A grade trades. And that's why I updated my indicator to actually tell you the grade, because it can be hard to keep track of what's the slope of VWAP. Because you're looking at, is it above or below? But are you looking at the slope? Is it steeply pointing in one clear direction? And are we above previous day levels? Those key levels that I keep telling you that we want to see for extra strength. The indicator is going to tell us that. It's going to say key level, not, it's like warning, not yet, not above key level. It'll say grade C, caution. And then you instantly know, well, it's a C grade, I'm not taking that. That's just too low quality for me, So I personally like to take in the A and B grade setups, and I like to go heavier on my A grade where I'm stepping on the gas like very strong.
Do you have an example where it may look like an A grade, but it's actually a C grade, and why?
Yeah, I got you. Here, hang on. Let me go. We'll go NASDAQ, and we're going to go a couple days ago, probably into right here. I don't know where this is at on the 30-minute. Let's go draw a little line. Okay. So you can see the reference point of where this started on the 30-minute, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So could you tell me before I even get started why this would be a C grade? Or lower grade? It's not going to be an A? Like, if I'm capturing this move right here with my trading strategy, why is that a lower grade? I'm gonna
say it's because your EMA is way too close to VWAP.
You want to try one more time? Kiki, do you know?
Oh wait, I'm sorry, I haven't been paying attention. What's going on?
Oh wow, that's even worse. No.
Okay, all right, catch me up. What's going on?
So I'm doing a pop quiz. Elliot said,
Okay.
like, give me a scenario where it looks like an A grade type of trade, but it's not. Okay.
Okay.
So let's
Right.
say we're sitting here and on the 2 minute we're seeing this play out where the price is just really spilling. It's zooming lower on increasing volume. Okay. Looking at the 30-minute chart.
Right.
I'll give you a tip. You guys, looking at the
Oh,
30-minute chart, why is this trade going short a lower grade version of the trade?
because on the 30 minutes above the VWAP.
Well, not VWAP.
I'm sorry, the EMA.
Yes. It's above our trend. If our bias is longs, and we know our bias is longs because of the green, okay? It's not that you can't take this trade. This is totally a valid trade, but maybe not for newer traders. You know, it's against the trend. We're swimming upstream. All of these traders are clearly, look at the demand for it. This slope in this EMA is clearly positive, right? So what direction, ideally what we'd want to do is wait out all of this down move and wait for the moment things stop going down, you know? So you could kind of draw that trend as something like this when it really steepened. And then ding, 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 where did things really get heated up? In the direction of the trend. This is where it started getting interesting. But here's the kicker. This is a back to VWAP trade, and we haven't learned that yet. So for us to participate, we typically want to see it go back to VWAP, break VWAP, hold it, and then some, you know? So
this would really be a bad trade all around.
It would be a bad trade all around. And again, you could take it because watch it. If I go replay it and I'll go right here as it spills. Okay, we got. Oh look, it's telling us. Okay, this is why we can use the indicator to help us so freaking much. I don't mean to like fluff it up, you know, but it's truly helpful, right? Look at this. It says grade C. Grade C. This is not, even though it looked great on the chart, we're fanning out, we're holding EMA, it's spilling, we're getting high volume, it's looking like so good in a technical aspect. We're missing a one key thing. It's swimming upstream, even though it's going down. It's swimming upstream. And so it's saying, warning, counter trend. You see the little caution sign? Counter trend? So C half size. This is a trade you either sit out completely or you take on the absolute smallest size possible when you're more experienced. Okay?
Okay.
And these typically are not ones that you would even trail. This is and there was our entry. I don't know if you caught it. It was fast as heck. Okay? This is your entry with your stop right here. You're 2-1, snagged right there. And so I have a C grade. I could have taken this with a 1 contract, and it looked fantastic. Like, the candlesticks, the EMAs, if I only used the 2-minute chart, I probably personally, if I didn't have the context of the swimming upstream thing, I would have said, this looks great. This looks fantastic. This is exactly what I want to see. And so the indicator's got your back, though. It's saying, hey, it's not as good as you think it is because you're missing that we're below key levels. We're trading inside other bars, by the way. Like, this happened, like, we're trading, all of this price action has happened, right? And this happened in here. So this price action was inside of this bigger picture on the left. So the indicator's got your back. It's saying, hey, we're going to downgrade this a lot because it's not as good as it truly looked.
Okay.
So do you think that would be a good example of one that looked awesome? Like, look at these giant candles. The slope of the EMA and VWAP were just fantastic.
And you can even look at the volume and be like, oh, there's a lot of volume here. You know, it looks great.
But it's essentially a trap. It can be really short-lived, and it kind of truly was. It made its quick move, and it was done. And so you tend to save those counter-trend trades for the more experienced traders that can read beyond just what the candles or the EMAs are telling you. You look at the volume, you look at the greater trend. And this is a great topic. Let me talk about this. You sparked something important. I was gonna actually cover this yesterday. Probability stacking. Okay, you have heard me talk about this expected value. We're gonna call it EV. Okay, and you know that we've got a 2-to-1 risk to reward with our strategy. Plus, let's assume that when you're trading, there's a reason why you're taking the trade. It's typically like, those A or B grade trades. So there's some sort of edge there, right? Some sort of positive thing going for you in your favor. So instead of it being a 50-50 coin toss, let's make it a 60-40. A 60-40. A 60% probability that you're going to win and a 40% probability that you're going to lose. Just like hypothetically speaking, okay? We don't need to be super scientific about it. But let's say we're at a 2-to-1 with a 60-40. Well, if we bet more on our A grade versus our, C and D grade, you can imagine that expected value, that 60-40 probability is there, and it's higher in those better areas, right? If it's an A environment, your probability of winning is technically higher. So how can we stack probabilities? And that's what the indicator is helping us with. We're stacking, we've got the trend on our side, trading with the trend. So think of that as like maybe plus 5% increased probability of the trade working out versus not. Okay? And then you've got things like a 2-to-1 bracket. A 2-to-1 increases your expected value. So let's say another 5%. And you're stacking these probabilities on top of each other. Maybe you even checked the volume before you entered, plus 3%, we'll say another 5%. Just keep it simple. 5% increased value of the trade. And so you're stacking probabilities on top of each other. Right? Mm-hmm. And there's ways you can stack probability even when you're zoomed in on these views, and even when you're already in a good environment to trade. Okay, heads up, we've got opportunity possibly incoming here. But imagine you're increasing your probability of being right by having a increased value, like the odds. You're increasing your odds of the trade working for you by being more selective about which trades you take. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Okay. So it looks like when you're looking on a 30-minute for M and Q, are you noticing that right now it seems to be within the trend right now? Of below the EMA?
Sorry, drinking my coffee. You're saying like you're asking what I'm seeing as opportunity here on the NASDAQ?
Yeah, so what's identifying opportunity for you? Is it that we're below the EMA on the 30-minute and we're below it and below VWAP here on the 2-minute?
Yeah, I would say in simplicity, we're starting to get expansion away from VWAP on volume.
Yeah, and so when you look at volume and you discuss volume, if for people who don't understand, you can see that in the graph state at the very bottom of your screen.
Yeah, and people really, they're looking at it like this. Here, I'll just delete that. This line right here, so this low is being crossed in a big way. We got huge short candle on huge volume. we could potentially end up revisiting lows of the day. Like, so now we've got a playground of from here to here. And so our indicator's saying we don't have a trade yet, you know, because this is still too sloppy. But it's setting up for the possibility of things looking better for us. Now you could, like, essentially, this is a different trade. This is not a hitchhiker, but people are taking this right now. Like, people already started to take this trade with their stops up in these areas, and they're targeting these lows, you know?
Okay. Like what we're learning is to identify what those traders are doing and to basically hitch a ride with them.
Yeah, and so to simplify your process, right? Momentum's just now starting to resume, it looks like. We still need to see a little bit more. Our indicator's going to tell us when, but we still want to see a little bit more, and then we also want to see an area to define risk. So this, though there's a trade happening right now live in front of us, it's one we're not taking because it's not in our strategy toolkit. It's not one that we're an expert at this time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we can recognize it. We can see that, hey, that's starting to spill in a big way away from VWAP. That's the first thing that happens before trades really start to set up, is we start to see a strong drive away from VWAP.
Okay, right now, when you look at gold, your indicator saying hitchhiker short, grade A full size, whip trend confirmed, 5.36 ATR bearish. What do you think of that on gold?
Gold? Let me look. Not bad, but here's the problem. It's at the floor, or it's hitting a wall right as we speak. So what you want to see is actually more like a little bit more and a pullback into like that. So it's telling you, hey, pay attention, because it's pretty much right at the area you want. It's and we don't even have to necessarily see that so much. It could look like sideways consolidation here and then a spill. But you are right that this is starting to give us a playground to play in. Both the NASDAQ and gold are giving us opportunity setting up right now.
So what we could say is, even though this is grading it as an A grade setup, doesn't mean that right now is the time to jump into it.
Exactly. It's the playground. And it's like telling you, ding, 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 this is an area where this type of trade starts to thrive. Not that it's time to enter, not that it's like ready to put finger on the trigger necessarily. It's just like, hey, getting your attention that this is the environment that this strategy works best in. And now we just need to make sure that there's no roadblocks, no major levels in the way, that we can fit our 2-to-1, and we have a clear area to put our stop loss.
Okay. That's like that's just good to know, because it's like, it can be deceiving. You're like, oh, it's all green, it's all ready to go. Like, you could hop in and then not recognize that you have a threshold right there that it's like breaching, and that could be a bad trade.
Exactly. So we need to wait till that bad trade turns into a good one. Also, we have a message in YouTube. We have somebody returning from yesterday's stream. His name is Cloud. So I wanted to give Cloud a shout out for stopping back in today. I don't know if he's still watching, but Cloud, I appreciate you stopping in and seeing how we're trading.
Do you want to bring up his question?
He didn't actually have a question per se. He was just saying, how's your trading?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Seeing how it's going.
Yeah, just checking in.
Yeah, here in a second we'll have to get off because we're going to have to break away for going to work. But
well, no worries. I appreciate you guys stopping in, and you get the conversation going. You're asking the right questions, and you're really getting the gears turning for not just yourselves, but I'm sure a lot of people have those similar type questions. So
Yeah.
And it's like you can once you get comfortable with the graph and how to read it, then it's about really understanding the move and understanding the thresholds after that. Where are your ceilings per se that are going to really stop a trade and define a good or a bad trade? Because a lot of trades can look really good and you're like, oh, that's a great looking trade. And you're not looking at all the information that makes it a great trade.
yeah, exactly. And it can be hard to like have all those mental checks in place consistently every time, right? And that's why I built this indicator for me. Like it was to aid me in my trading and be supportive, and it helped make me more mechanical. You know.
Mm. And it gives you like a strong system of, okay, this is telling me there's a good setup. This is what I'm looking for. And for you, you see that as this is when I'm watching it, and I'll determine when to hop into this trade.
Exactly.
Because it's looking at the trend while you're going to be looking at all of your thresholds and your lines that it's not necessarily reading. Because does your tool read the like the thresholds of the yesterday's highs and stuff?
Yeah, and that's what it's plotting. It's the blue and white line. It's looking at the highs and lows of yesterday. It even knows it's actually not showing all of them that it's tracking either, because it's only going to show ones that are relevant to what's happening right now, like where price is at. So let's say, for example, price is just too far away from yesterday's low, for example. And so because it's so far away, it's not going to display it on the screen, and I have that set on purpose so that you just don't get distracted by extra lines on the chart that aren't relevant to right here and right now in this trade. But it draws them for you. All of this stuff I used to draw myself manually every morning. I would wake up, I would go to the daily chart, and I'd mark the highs and lows with trend lines and then zoom in. And I'd have to do that on each of my charts. You're sitting there doing that on NASDAQ, gold, and crude oil, so 3 different charts every morning. And then instead I build this indicator that not only has my back across the board with all these other things, but it also draws those lines for me.
One thing I want to note is right there on micro NASDAQ that you were just on.
Yeah.
Is how you've mentioned this many times with us, but the purple and yellow line tend to, when they separate, want to come back together and intertwine, and it kind of bounces around. It doesn't really spread very far. You always say it's like a rubber band, and at some point it's going to want to stretch away and then bounce back.
Exactly. The further we get away from VWAP, the further we get away from the average price, the more likely we're going to get a snap back to VWAP. And honestly, if I were to simplify all of our job here, like no matter, even when you learn other strategies, what we're doing is simply trading the away from and back to VWAP. There's the drive away from VWAP, and then there's trades that take it back to VWAP. Oh, momentum's still strong. There's continuation away from VWAP. And then I bet at some point we're coming back to VWAP. And you can see that over hours of price action. Sorry, right here. You see? And that cycle repeats itself over and over. And your job is truly just to identify what stage of the trend are we in. Are we extending away from VWAP? Are we coming back to VWAP? Or are we trading sideways at VWAP and there's no neither?
Yeah, because right there on the left of the screen actually is a great example of how it was trading sideways for like over an hour.
Yeah, like right in here, this area, this is no man's land, and this is like another version of that, right? the way from, and look, if you go through the charts, you see this all day. There's away from VWAP and back to VWAP. The further it gets extended, it's like a big rubber band. So the further it gets, and so it's way up here, the more tension and pressure it comes, and it's it's like a rubber band effect. It's really getting stretched, and it can't hold itself up here. It's gonna snap back, you know.
And at what extension, when you have the EMA extending from VWAP, at what extension are you really interested? Like, how far do you want it away before you're really interested?
Um, well, that depends. I find that when you start pushing like 10 ATR, like, and it's got an indicator on here like of distance, but once you get about 10 ATRs, things are pretty freaking extended, and you'll see it start to color things in like orange, saying, "Hey, be careful," you know. So you're only looking for these type of continuation trades if there's meat on the bone for you. So if it's already too far extended from VWAP, that it means that there's just not enough runway to like take your trades, right? So you want to see it's extending from VWAP when we're taking our hitchhiker, but it's not too far extended already.
Okay. Well, I think that's where I'm going to cut for the day, just because I'm going to go to work. But thank you for the session.
You're welcome.
All right.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care. Wow, Elliot.
Wow, honey.
Wow. Wow.
All right, guys. I appreciate you.
Okay. Bye.
It was fun as usual.
Indeed. Take care.
All right, you too. See you later.
Bye.
All right, YouTube, you've got my undivided attention. So I may not be super attentive to chat at the moment, but if you've got questions, if you want to steer the ship a little bit, I'm happy to help in wherever you're at in your trading career. So shoot me a message. I am surely to respond. I am going to get more coffee, so I'm going to go quiet for just a few minutes. You can check out the price action and see what I'm kind of watching for. I really want to see gold breaking down below the pre-market levels. That would be fantastic. So, getting a potential trade here as this heats up. All right, fam, I am back. I have got some more coffee. So I'm good to continue. If anybody's live and watching this, shoot me a message in the comments. I would love to be able to answer your questions. So again, if you're live watching right now, this is being recorded, but for those that are participating live on YouTube, shoot me a comment, ask some questions. Let's get the gears turning, get some conversation flowing. All right, I got my dark roast coffee. I have an espresso machine. I'm a little bougie like that. Very dull morning. Very dull morning. Not a whole lot to jump up and down about here, to be honest. I feel like of the charts, crude oil looks pretty decent. But I've never had a strong preference on trading crude oil over some of the others. NASDAQ giving that drive lower after bouncing around VWAP. We're starting to get separation, continuation from VWAP. About time. About time. We're seeing some moves. I feel like the previous day, pre-market lows, after hours lows, are kind of acting like a magnet right now as we're pulling back to it. So for the first time on NASDAQ, it is printing a potential trade opportunity for me now. Realistically, we want to see a pullback first before we actually enter in a trade on this. So though my indicator is saying, hey, we're in a territory for a lower grade trade, we still don't take the trade. We don't take the trade. We are patiently waiting. We want an area to define our risk. Right now, our stop loss would be in no man's land. We can't have that. We need to have it in a clear area behind a swing point that's close enough to define and put risk on. And unfortunately, unless you caught that back to VWAP type move, we are just not quite in an area where we can define our risk. You can see the grade is improving. We went to a C grade pullback or opportunity here. And it's because we're in a neutral trend. You know, the Nasdaq's a long bias right now. We've been in an uptrend, and the price action's really breaking down today short. So it's kind of fighting the trend, making it a little more neutral. And we don't love to see that. Take a look at some other charts. So gold's sitting right at this pre-market level, after hours level, and it's just gold tends to like really range around these major levels, and you can see it clearly on the 30-minute. Like, we used previous day low as a high point, retested that, wicked around a bunch. Now we're at the low, but until we like truly start breaking down here, we don't have a great looking trade. Honestly, I like the momentum of the Nasdaq. It's just we need to get another pullback to define risk. We had this one up here. If you miss this pullback into VWAP and resumption on this volume, then we're just waiting. We're just waiting. Remember that if we do end up taking any trades going short, because it's technically counter to the broader trend, our 5-day trend EMA that we're tracking, we want to make sure that we trade smaller. And that's why our indicator's saying half size. My indicator's got my back, and it's reminding me that, hey, this is a move that's going against the trend. We want to be taking it with some discretion. We're going to take it with less risk, a smaller size. And our morning's kind of coming up to an end here. You typically 11:30, so we got about 50 minutes left before I would likely call this a session to end. Nasdaq's just starting to put that pullback in. So what we want to see, I'd actually like to see a deep enough pullback that it gives me a 2-to-1 possibility back to the low. Or even better, sideways consolidation and then a break of that sideways consolidation lower. That would be fantastic. As expected, because the trend traders are long. Look at the response here. Huge buying candle right at the low. You just feel the price action today is a giant tug of war. Giant tug of war between buyers and sellers. They're fighting over who's going to be in control. I think the sellers are obviously winning, but it's a little sloppy. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful where we're putting on risk. Despite the day that we're having on NASDAQ, I still like a short if we continue to just have those sellers put on all this pressure. If the sellers just continue to push this lower, I definitely am still interested. Let me look at the daily too, actually. Let's take a peek. We're still holding strongly above that 5-day EMA on the daily. So the bias should still be longs. We're just essentially violating that temporarily as this downtrend is happening. I'll show you. So ever since this point on the screen, we're just pulling back. pulling back. I do love my coffees. Hello, welcome in. I see we've got some viewers, so feel free to talk in chat. Let me know if you have questions about what I do, my strategy. If you want to talk about your strategy, feel free to guide this conversation. So feel free to reach out in chat if you want to get conversation rolling. I am an open book. I appreciate you streaming in as well. This is a new channel. We are on day 2 live, so it's only going to get better from here. We'll see more participation as time goes on, as people discover this live. Sorry, paying attention. So you can see here, we just got that spike of resumption where sellers are being handed the baton right now. So I'm watching intensely. There's not enough room for me to take this for a 2-to-1 because it's right into the low. So I can't quite actually participate in this yet. Coffee, coffee, coffee. One of those days where it's almost like things want to run. You almost have get this clean, trendy price action, but it's just not quite. We got some good back to VWAP moves today. So for those rangy back to VWAP traders that like to take the backside, definitely a good day for the backside traders. I like the continuation. I like to double down when I'm continuing versus the backside. I find the backside tends to be a little sloppy and a little harder to predict for me. So I prefer the continuation trends. I want to see it continue from where it came from. Preferably with the broader trend. So the 30-minute 5-day trend to EMA is ideally what I want to see. Directional, I want to see that holding and clearly giving me a clear directional bias, which we're not getting. We're not getting that today, so ends up being a little more dry. We got to be patient and sit on our hands. So what am I looking for here? On the 30-minute with gold, we're just at this like break of structure, this larger break of structure, and gold tends to linger at these levels. It doesn't always give you that drive lower you want to see, and ideally it needs to break below this and really start booking it. And unfortunately, gold it's just not its like preference. Most of the time, gold will just sit there and trade at that level or reverse. I want to like the NASDAQ, but it's just not quite what we want to see yet. You almost wish that every day could be a with the trend type of day. You know, that like the pullbacks happened counter trend in the after hours, and then in the morning you're just like catching that trend resuming in the direction that the broader trend is. And that's always awesome when you just walk into a day like that. It's not like we're trading stocks where we have 1,000 different choices to pick from in charts. You really, we're working with just a couple, and so you got to be extra patient and wait for the right criteria. Currently sitting on our hands as we wait for opportunity to show up. I'm checking some of the analytics between the posts. When I posted that I'm going live, I am on X, formerly Twitter, and I post when I'm going live on there as well. If you subscribe, I'm sure it tells you. So for those of you watching this back after the fact, if you're not watching this live and you're watching a recording, consider shooting me a subscribe. Catch me live sometime. Start asking me some questions. I know you have them. I know there's so many traders out there that would benefit from some support. We're getting those sellers just really, really trying to push this lower. But the volume just quite isn't there yet. This is still... It's almost what we want to see. But we're still in that C grade territory. This is not a trade I'm taking. We're looking for A and B grade trades. As expected, gold's still trading right at that low. Not doing much of anything. And like 6 months ago, gold was just popping off and the trend was so strong. It's sad to see it actually, like looking at it on the daily, it tells the story so clearly. Versus the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ's been awesome, but at the same time, the NASDAQ's going to start to see deeper and deeper pullbacks as we challenge this strength of this trend. And that's really what we're seeing right now. It's like a perfect prime example of right now. Today is just fighting the trend tooth and nail. Some of you might know, and if you do, definitely comment on the video, but I would like to be able to play music in the background. Like, if I'm trading alone, typically I've got Spotify playing like really calm, peaceful music for me in the background, but now that I'm streaming on YouTube, I'm concerned about copyright and making sure I'm following guidelines, and I don't know a good place to still continue to have music that can be playing on stream. So hopefully in time we'll figure that out. We'll get a little extra background audio so it's not just silence. shooting some messages out to some friends in the community to see if we are interested in meeting up and talking trade. Now look at the NASDAQ. It's just looking like we could be spilling here. This is where we just start to get interested in what could happen. Not pulling the trigger, but we're looking at the spilling action as we pulled into the EMA. Now this is a 5-minute 9 EMA, but on a 2-minute 22, right? So we're just watching that EMA as price came back into it, and now we're starting to see resumption on volume. That's exactly what we want to see. If we take this trade, we're looking at half size. We're not going full size on this yet, and we have an obstacle in the way. The after hours low. The after hours low is right in the way from taking it would mess with our risk to reward. Good volume on the selling, which is a good indication that we could see more downside today. We could potentially see more downside. We want to see that white line, that after hours level, the after hours level we're tracking. We want to see the after hours low really get taken out. Consolidation below that line is exactly what will upgrade this trade from neutral C grade to more like a B grade quality, because we'll have that key level marked on our indicator. So that would be awesome. But do we get that cross? Are we going to break down more from here? Crude oil almost giving the sign. Like it started to really pick up here above VWAP, but it was just too late in the trend for me. You know, this move started way below VWAP, so you had this back to VWAP, you had the break of VWAP, you know, as we're crossing, and then now we're just getting that deep pullback. So crude oil's not doing anything. Gold's still trading above this level. It's getting tighter. I can see it. But gold's not doing anything special. The NASDAQ still not so special, but it's still my favorite of the three here. It's my favorite of the three because of a few things. I know that the counter trend could be really strong if we really start to dip below. Something like this on 30-minute would be fantastic. So it's giving potential for panic sell-offs. If the selling increases, I feel a lot of participation could get behind it. So let's see if they show up. Stepped away to grab a hoodie. I am back. Not much going on, so there's not too much to talk about. I think as we stream, we'll get more participants in and more chat going here. But for now, things might be a little more dry. So for anybody re-watching these recorded sessions, hopefully you got some value out of the conversations we had earlier with some of the newer traders in the Discord. But now, most of the conversation that I've got planned is going to be for later. So, for those of you that want that one on one interaction of like listening in to conversation back and forth between myself and other traders, I think we're going to set that up for later today. So, maybe in the afternoon we can resume the live and have a little more back and forth going. We're watching sellers really take control here in this move. Buyers brought this, sellers brought this down here, and then buyers kind of brought it back up just for a few candles. They were getting involved. And then you notice that this candle is just like overlapping the previous candle and then some. Sellers are there's a lot of pressure on the sell side. I'm feeling that pressure. I see it on the chart. You could see it on the tape on level 2. Sellers are slamming some orders right now. It's just into a level. So that's what's dangerous is, people, if you're not tracking these levels, there's not much room here. So you could go, you're getting in and you're expecting this huge move, and maybe you get it, but you've got a wall that you're going to have to get through, and so that really skews your risk to reward, killing your EV. So we need to see that level break. We need to see that level break if we're going to be going short in this. Break and hold. We want, and ideally, the goal is consolidation below the key level. We're having consolidation above the key level, which is a little backwards. We don't want that. I am surprised at the lack of early morning traders. I think there's so many of you that might be stuck at work right now and just can't watch this video like live. So I'm sure some of you are free and just haven't discovered this channel yet. But, luckily we record these sessions, we post them. You can skip through and find the timestamps in the areas of like points of interest and skip around and actually just watch it whenever convenient too. But I feel like for these live sessions, it's going to take a little bit of time to build up the audience to get true participation this early in the morning when a lot of people are stuck at their day jobs. The ones that need the most help are typically stuck at work. Checking in with the wife. I shoot her a text message. See how she's doing this morning as well. I would say if we don't see participation picking up soon, we'll probably wrap this session up and just revisit the live later on. The market's been pretty dull. Oh, crude oil kind of getting that resumption, big buying candle reclaiming that EMA. But does it have the follow through? Gold's still trading sideways. It's trying to hold below this level. It's almost. All right, fam, I'm gonna call it here. I think it was a great live session we got to record. We had some new traders in the chat and Discord being able to ask questions and all that stuff. So I'm glad you got to hear and participate in that. But you know, things are getting a little too quiet for me, so I'm gonna come back later and I'll try to shoot a shout out when I'm going live. So I appreciate those who joined, and I hope you guys have a great day.